that seems pretty sharp. I wouldn't want to put my hand underneath this blade because it's sharp. It would cut your fingers off. There's poor pictures of people's hands getting cut on these things because it's dangerous. Because a sharp blade is effective. A lot more effective than a blade that is dull. And when it comes to our friends, we have to ask ourselves, are our friends making us sharp or are they making us dull? See, our friends are fun to be around. We like to hang out, crack jokes. We could just be ourselves. Girls, you don't necessarily have to wear makeup when you're around your friends. You can wear whatever you want, right? You can wear a hoodie, your whatever, and be comfortable because you're just around your friends. Guys, when you're hanging out with your friends, you can kind of let one loose, right? Every once in a while. Everybody likes a little funny joke, right? You can let one go because you're around your friends. You can be comfortable around your friends. You have crazy times with your friends. You have tough times with your friends. But you also have a lot of fun with your friends. Because friends are fun to be around. Because we can be ourselves. We can be comfortable and not worry about if they're going to judge us or if they're going to tell us this or that. We just get comfortable with our friends. See, we're comfortable with our friends because we trust our friends. We trust them that they understand that when we do something a little crazy, a little weird, they understand that it's just us. And so what happens is that we get so used to being comfortable around our friends that it's hard to get uncomfortable. See, it's hard to tell a friend when they've gotten off track. Maybe they're hanging out with the wrong crowd. Maybe they've done things with their boyfriend, girlfriend. Maybe they've been having a horrible attitude. And when they've done something wrong, it's hard to tell them that because it's uncomfortable. It's even hard to receive that as a friend from one of your own friends because it's not comfortable. It's uncomfortable. And even more than that, sometimes when somebody tells you that you've done wrong or they feel like you've gotten off track, it can hurt. In Proverbs 27:6 it says, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." See, true friends are those who are willing to risk wounding us by telling us when we're wrong. Rather than just sitting back and being comfortable and telling us how awesome we are, how great things are, and ignoring the facts and ignoring what's real. See, a real relationship with a friend includes some confrontation. It includes some uncomfortable times. And so we have to use the trust that we have with our friends to make each other sharp. Because if all we're doing is just hanging out and being comfortable and, oh yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter, then we're really just making each other dull. But if we use the trust we have with a friend to sharpen them, to challenge each other, to raise the bar, raise the level and say, hey, as a group of friends, let's go after God in this way. It can change us and it can change them and make us sharp. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Now this isn't really iron, I don't think, but it's metal. And when iron sharpens iron, there's a lot of clanging that happens. It's not an easy process. It's not something that's comfortable, but it's uncomfortable. And sometimes it's hard to deal with. But when we are real with each other, we sharpen each other. When we're willing to be real and maybe clang into each other a little bit and sharpen one another, that's when we get sharp. That's when our life changes in it for the better. That's when a friend challenges us and helps us to be who God wants us to be. But a lot of times we don't like to get real with friends because it's uncomfortable. Or maybe we want to tell somebody something and we don't really want to be uncomfortable with them, so we go talk to another friend and we're not really meaning to go behind our friend's back, but we do. And we go talk to somebody else and they go tell somebody else, and all of a sudden this gossip thing happens and our friends are totally upset with us because we talked to other people about it and we didn't really talk to them about the situation. That's when things go totally wrong. And instead of being real with our friend, we go and talk to other people. Maybe we're fake with our friend. And that messes up our relationship with that friend and even the other people around us. See, there's a right way and a wrong way to help sharpen your friends. So you wouldn't go yelling in a crowd like, oh, check out my friend, he's got a booger on his face. You wouldn't go yelling in a crowd, oh, look, my friend, he's got a stain on his shirt, what a mess, you know. Maybe you would, just joking around. But when it comes to the serious issues in life, things that are more serious than that, you're not going to go yelling and telling everyone about the situation. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't even point it out to others behind your friend's back, thinking that that might help and maybe they'll give you a different perspective. That's not necessarily the best way to do it. In fact, Jesus tells us how to do it. Jesus tells us how to handle sharpening our friend and getting into that uncomfortable zone, but doing it in a way that we're okay with it. It says in Matthew 18, verse 15 and 17, it says, if your brother or sister sins, that's what happens, right? We slip up, we mess up, our friend sins, messes up, they're a Christian, they love Jesus, but they've messed up, and maybe they keep messing up and going down this wrong path. If your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault, just between the two of you. Go point out their fault. We, in church, a lot of times we don't talk about this. We're like, don't judge, don't judge, don't judge, don't judge. But when it comes to what Jesus is telling us is that if your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault just between the two of you. Not behind their back, between the two of you, somebody else, but between you and your friend. Go get uncomfortable. And it says, if they listen to you, you've won them over. Awesome, great, you've helped them, you've sharpened them. In verse 16, but if they will not listen, take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. That if your friend doesn't listen to you, you bring it up and they're like, dude, what are you talking about? My attitude's fine, there's nothing wrong. I haven't done anything wrong, I don't know what you're talking about. Then maybe you grab another friend who notices the same thing, and you go talk to them together. Not in a group, not about them to other people, but you go to that one friend and say, hey, we love you, we care about you, and we want to help you. And then it says, if they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. And if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Now, when we hear that end part, we think a pagan, a tax collector, yeah, kick them out, treat them wrong. But no, if they don't listen, if they're not on the right track and they keep going down the wrong path, treat them like a pagan or a tax collector, like someone who doesn't know Jesus. Love them and care about them and treat them with respect, that they might come back to the path of Jesus. So in these situations that might feel uncomfortable, where we need to sharpen our friends and help them out, we need to be willing to be uncomfortable and go one-on-one to them first and say, hey, I see this going on. I'm not perfect. I got mistakes, but I see this. I really want to help you. I love you. I care about you. And go talk to them about it. Challenge each other. Be willing to let other people challenge you in certain areas of your life. Let people challenge you so that you can become sharper as well. Here are the questions that I want you to talk about in small group. Do your friends make you sharp or dull? What does that mean? What does that look like? Do they make you sharp like a blade that could actually cut something, or do they make you dull so that you're not effective, so that you're not living for God? Or do they make you sharp? The other question you need to ask yourself is, who are you sharpening and who is sharpening you? Are you willing to be uncomfortable with your friend and sharpen them and challenge them? And are you willing to let other people challenge you, other friends who you can trust, challenge and sharpen you? And then we need to ask, what gets in the way of letting your friends sharpen you? If you're not letting people sharpen you, what gets in the way? Is it pride? Is it the thought of them judging you? Is it the thought of them talking about you? Is it because you don't want to change and you don't want to live for God? What gets in the way of your friends sharpening you? And then you can also talk about this, is how would you handle certain situations? Maybe your friend is doing drugs and you're like, dude, this is messed up, or they're going and getting drunk, or maybe they're having sex, or they're doing sexual things, or they have a bad attitude. Whatever it is, whatever the situation, how do you handle those certain situations? Do you tell your parents? Do you tell their parents? Do you tell, if they're not listening to you, do you go to their parents first? Do you go to a friend first? How do you handle those situations so that you can help sharpen your friend? Because a real friend, in a real relationship with that friend, gets real with the other person. Not fake and acting like everything's okay, but is willing to get uncomfortable and challenge one another so that you each can be sharper and live for God and be who God wants you to be.